If the Biden administration has its way, we will have a Ministry of Disinformation. More accurately, not to be spreading disinformation, they have proposed a Disinformation Governance Board to combat the dissemination of misinformation. Could this be a response to the Democrats' increasingly dismal prospects in the coming 2022 midterms? Nah, they wouldn't do that. More after this. A lot of companies are frustrated with their website. It looks old, it's hard to update, and it's not generating leads. SageTree gets it. Since 2005, SageTree has been helping companies with websites that look great, work great, and get leads. Stop being embarrassed by your website and get one that you're proud to share. Contact SageTree today to get a website that makes the phone ring. Getting started is easy. Go to sagetree.com and schedule a call. Go to sagetree.com and press that schedule a call button. All right, Joe Dramisi, the Ministry of Disinformation or Misinformation or whatever. That's your article, right?
It is, yeah. And we didn't publish it on our gun owner site because it's not. The article itself isn't directly about guns, although I will weave that in here today because it absolutely can be. But for people who want to read it, it's on getagrip.substack.com. So that's where the article is. But the Biden administration has proposed or has enacted a Disinformation Governance Board, I guess is what they're calling it. And what this is supposed to do is free us from the threat of disinformation out there.
From the tyranny of truth.
Well, and if you're going to have something like that, I mean, and what I say in the article is, I mean, that this should be extremely frightening and alarming to all Americans. No matter what your political views are, the idea that the government is going to decide now what you can see and what you can't see, what's real or what's not real, what's information, what's disinformation, and that should be a really alarming thing. And not enough people, I think, are alarmed about that. And if you're going to do something like that, though, I mean, why not have the experts do it, right? I mean, the Biden administration's been governing disinformation for the last 18 months now or so. So, you should have people that are pretty good at it. They, the person that they...
So that you're saying they're really good at disinforming, so they'll recognize disinformation when they see it?
Or at least deciding what it is and what it isn't. Yeah. So, again, the person they've put in there, I guess, is to head this up is a woman named Nina Jankowicz, who... again, herself is, and not to get, how do you not get like that? I was going to say not to get real political about it, but I mean, she's pretty much like everybody that gets associated with that current administration. I mean, this is what most people would call a far left, extremist type person. If you look at her writings and things that she talks about, videos of her, on that you can find online. She actually did one guy that I read a lot of on the Powerline blog, a guy named John Hinderaker, whom I've been reading for about 15 years now, just did a little piece on her. And he had a video clip of her doing this little song and dance thing. And, he had some issues with the crude language and stuff. But I have to say, she's got a fair amount of talent for an entertainer. To head up a group that's supposed to determine what's real information and what isn't, I don't know. Someone that, says that what CRT is used by the Republicans now to manage emotions, I think is what she was saying, something like that.
Manage emotions.
Yeah. So in other words, CRT we all know is not real. That would be misinformation.
CRT is critical race theory. Right?
Critical race theory, yes, the thing that does not exist that yet is being pushed throughout the school system. But she talks about things like that. And weaponizing emotions, that's how she described it. And so, again, you're going to have somebody like that. And I didn't tie this specifically to guns in the Second Amendment, but I easily could have. I think I was dealing with the same thing that your nephew Sam was talking about, right? I've got to keep this under 500 words. People won't read it.
Right.
I don't write anything in less than 500 words. It's a challenge for me to keep it around 700 or so. So I didn't really tie that in, but you easily could. I mean, as gun owners, we've been dealing with disinformation for the last 30 years or 40 years anyway,
at least,
coming from the government and all sorts of different places. To have, and you could see the problems it causes for gun owners and for the Second Amendment. You can see how how things are mischaracterized and twisted just because of the information that's out there. I mean, even listening to the last guest that we were talking to, who's running for assembly, who was saying, that it's an education problem because the laws they write just don't make any sense. They don't address the things that they're supposed to be addressing. And yeah, I guess unless you put it in context, if you look at it from the view that, well, no, they are certainly addressing the problem they're trying to address. Where you have an issue is the problem they're trying to address is not crime. It's not public safety. The problem they're trying to address is Americans owning guns. That's the problem they're trying to address. And if you look at it in that context, it's not that they're not educated. They know exactly what they're doing. And the laws that they write are intended to hinder Americans from owning firearms, basically. And, just making it harder to buy firearms, make it harder to own firearms, make it harder to use firearms. And
so the article you wrote, like, what's if like in 2 sentences, like, what's the scariest thing? You know what I mean? Like if someone reads the article and walks away, what should they be terrified of?
I think the fact that the government is actually doing this, that we can have a government body that's specifically named, the Disinformation Governance Board, that's specifically chartered to decide what you can see and what you can't see, because that's a huge problem in this country right now.
What are they actually going to be able to do? Are they really going to what are they actually going to be? What power do they have?
Well, that stands to, I guess, be seen here, because it's being challenged. There was at least last time I looked, there were 20 different states. I think they were all pretty much red states that were challenging this now, saying that you can't do this. This is illegal. It's not constitutional. You can't have the government decide what the American people can see, what they can't see. So I assume the way you would go about doing this, social media has got to be a big thing. And it's already been in the news that they've been trying to pressure, probably pretty successfully, they've been pressuring Twitter and Facebook and those platforms to not have things like President Trump, for instance, is banned from Twitter. Okay, so now someone's decided.
Well, not anymore.
We'll see.
Thank you,
he may
Elon.
come back. But someone's decided now that, okay, this person's political views. This is a president of the United States, a former president, and okay, his views now are misinformation, and so you can't hear them. I mean, that should be frightening, because you can't have a democracy or a representative republic, which is what we have, but you can't have a free people in that kind of government if people aren't free to see information, if people can't debate ideas, if one side can't throw out, okay, we believe this is why, and then the other side can't come back and say, well, we think you're wrong because of this. If I'm not allowed to hear that, how can I possibly make decisions? How could we possibly pick representatives to govern if we're not allowed to do that?
Well, and it's crazy to think that in order for Twitter to, in order to protect a First Amendment right, Twitter had to be privatized. An individual had to take, it wasn't the government that stepped in and said, hey, we're going to defend and preserve people's rights. It was some billionaire who stepped in and said, hey, we're going to preserve and defend rights, which is crazy to think about. That's a 180 on what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and well, what's been in the news the last couple of months anyway was that there were reports of the administration trying to pressure these organizations to do that, and from the reaction of a lot of these organizations, you have to think that they were reasonably successful. But the idea that they're coming out and doing this officially is just terrible, and Americans should be alarmed.
It is alarming. And even if they have no power on year 1, by year 10 or 15 or year 20, if this goes into effect, they're going to have a lot of power.
Everything is little bits and pieces. That's how they accomplish this stuff.
Phil Thalheimer's up next. He's going to talk about the San Diego Flight Training International School that he runs. Looking forward to talking with him more. Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.